we're now going to take our data and figure out how we can make it more visually appealing and easier for the reader to read. So if I start off with this here raw data, it's data about pre-calculus grades from students last year. So I have a bunch of different grades, and what I want to do when I look at this right away, I'm like, oh God, that's overwhelming. It's a mess. So let's organize it a little bit better. So the first thing we're going to do is to organize this data into frequency tables so it's easier for me to graph these information. So first off, we're going to create a frequency table that uses our category of letter grades. So how many A's, B's, and C's did we have in class last year? We go one at a time. So I have 1A, I just put a tick mark, 2, 3, and then it looks like I have a B, another A, a C, A, that's 5. Oops, that one is a C. 92 is an A, 100 is an A, 89 B, 94 A, 92 is an A, 86 is a B, 93 is an A, 73 C, 74 C, 94 A, 91 A. And I have a total of 12 A's, 3 B's, and 4 C's. In total, how many grades did we collect? So how many number of students information did we pull information from? And that would be 12 plus 3 plus 4 is 19 students. We call this the total number of results or data points is called the sample size. So how big is the sample? The sample was 19 data points or 19 pieces of information. All right, another way for us to organize our information would be by percentage. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all of this so I can do this again. All right, so this time we're going to actually list out the values because we're not sure later how we're going to sort this information. So I'm going to start here with 92. So 90 to 94, I'm going to put it in the middle, 92. 95 is in this category, 95. 96, I'll leave a little space just in case there's another 96. 81, something there. 95, well, look, another 95. 75, so at the bottom of this range. 91 would be like right here. 100, 92, 79, 92, 94, 89, 86, 86 is in this range, 93, I know, this is riveting, 73, 74, we're almost there, 94, and another 91. I'm going to look at my information and be like, how many of each of these do I have in each category? This is not wholly necessary, but it's a good check. So I'm going to go, I have 4, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in that range, I have 2, 1, 2, and 2. I'm going to add these up. So 4, 6, 10, 18, 19. My total is 19. That should match my sample size. Okay, so let's go ahead and use our information for a bar graph. A bar graph, the first thing we want to do, a bar graph is a good way for us to compare the size of the different categories, right? So a couple of features about bar graphs, we need to make sure we name the graph so we know what we're looking at. What we're looking at is pre-calculus letter grades. So letter grades. Okay, so that's done. We do not connect the bars, but we need to make sure we evenly space out the categories. The frequency axis is, this would be the y-axis, okay? And then we need to make sure we label our categories on the x-axis clearly. So what are our categories? If we go back to, so actually let's do this first. On the x-axis, that is going to be our letter grades. Our frequency axis in this case is our vertical axis. So we're going to call that the number of students. Okay. And we're going to go back to our table and look at what are our categories. That's our A, B, and C. So I am going to use this line, and since I want to evenly space them out, I'm going to use, I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to make my bar go like, use those two lines. So I want to keep a little space. So the next category, I'll start like that, and the third one like that. So we're going to be A, B's, and C's. And I'm going to go ahead and erase this right now. And then our number of students. We have to get all the way up to 12 students. And I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. So I'm going to count by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay, for the A's, it looks like I have 12 A's. So I'm going to start here, go all the way up to 12, go over, and then down. And this is my first bar. So this whole, this bar represents 12 students. The next bar, the B's are, I think 3. I have 3 students here. Where's 3 if I only have a 2 and a 4? Well, a 3 is right in between, right here. So I'm only going to go up to right in between 2 and 4. That represents 3 students. So if I draw this over, that should be the same height as my 3. Okay, the last bar, I have 4 C values, or C's. So I'm going to go ahead and draw over to go to about right there. It's easiest with graph paper, but I forgot to use it this time. So I'm going to look. Are my bars not connected? Yes, they are not connected. Are they evenly spaced out? They're pretty evenly spaced out. Okay. The frequency axis is evenly spaced by 2, 4, 6 by even numbers. And the number, I clearly labeled what the frequency axis represents. And I've labeled what the categories are and what the axis represents. Okay, next, we're moving on to a pie graph. So a pie chart is used with categorical data to help us see what percentage of the whole each category represents. So this is a little bit different because we actually have to do a little bit of math calculation. So if we go back to our chart, who has what letter grade gives us the greatest return? Well, that would be our A's. We have 12 of them, okay? So I'm going to go back to my pie chart. And so which wedge is the largest? Well, this wedge over here is, let's see, if I cut the circle down, straight down, over here would represent 50%, but I have more than 50% because it's more than half the circle. So I know that this section are my A's. So one of the things we need to include is a legend. So I'm going to put over here that the blue wedge is equal to the A's. And to get this calculation of 63.2%, what I did was took how many A's, that's 12, and divided by our sample size, which is 19. I had to round to get 0.2, but that's okay. Okay. The next part we're going to do is the red. The red is the smallest. So which letter grade does that represent? That's the B's. So how many B's did we have? We had 3. And we are going to divide that by 19 to give us 15.8%. The yellow is a little bit bigger here than the B's. So we know that's going to be the C's. They have 4 out of 19, which is 21.1%. So we want to label each section clearly. You can do that on the graph or in the legend. The last thing we need to do is name the graph. What does this graph represent? Oh yeah, remember? It represents pre-calc letter grades. Calculus letter grades. It's not that clear, so I'm going to try that again. Letter grades. Okay, and that's what we're doing here. Last graph, histogram, is our numerical data graph. And it helps me see how spread out the data is. So let's go ahead and start. Now remember, it's numerical data, so what we're graphing is pre-calculus numeric grades, not letter grades. Or percentages, okay? So we're going to write the percentage, the grade percentage. And then the y-axis is the number of students. Okay. So I named the graph. I'm going to connect the bars this time. We labeled the horizontal axis. We labeled, this should say, we labeled the frequency axis, which is the y-axis. Okay. We're going to figure out what we need to space these by next. So I need to figure out what these tick marks right here are going to represent, like how many, like what the range of grades are going to be. So I'm going to go back to my table. And I'm going to see, we already kind of arranged them by 5 percentage points. So it's from 70 to 74, 75 to 79, 80 to 84. What I need to decide is, do I want to keep these ranges by 5 percentage points, or do I want to graph something like 70 to 79% and 80 to 89% and 90 to 100%? I'm looking at this, and I think I'll get more information, or the graph will look a little better if I keep my, what we call our bin or our range, a little bit smaller at 5%. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So right here represents 0, but I want to skip all the way to 70. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little squiggly line, and that just means the graph, I'm going to skip a bunch of numbers till 70. Okay, so I have 70. This one is going to represent 75, so I'm going to count by fives. 80, 85, 90, 95, 100 percents. Okay, and if I go back to my chart, what's the greatest number of students in each one of those ranges? 8. So I'm gonna go back and count my lines. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Okay. I can count by ones this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So we're gonna have to jump back and forth a bunch, but from 70 to 74 and 70 to 75 to 79, I both have 2 students in each one of those ranges. So I'm going to go ahead and graph in from 70 to 74. Ooh, this is going to be tough. In here. 70 to 74, I have 2 students. The next section from 75 to 79, I also have 2 students. So I connect it to the other graph, okay? To the other bar. From 80 to 84, I have 1 student, and then from 85 to 90, I have 2 students. So I'm going to go 1 student from 80 to 84, and 2 students from 85 to 89. Then I have 8 students and 5 students. Oh, sorry, 8 students and 4 students. It says 4, I said 5. Okay, 8 students and then 4 students. Okay, so this next section goes all the way up to 8. Okay, and then draw over and down like that. Then I have 4 students. So 4 students and then down. So where is the most amount of data? So this should help us see like how spread out is the data. Where's the most? Well, it's on this side, the right side. Okay, so it just says, okay, we're kind of like in the grade wise, we're top heavy here. Okay? Lots of A's. So this information to me is a lot easier to see what's going on than if I saw the information like this. That's the advantages to graphs. Okay, and that is it.